what's up, everyone? It's Books and Looks TV. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Tubi movie Rush for Your Life. It's like a thriller slash horror movie, and I liked it and thought it was pretty interesting. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you come here often and you like my channel. So, for y'all who may or may not know, Rush is a term used for those who are initiated into a sorority, especially for those who belong to like a predominantly white sorority. The main character in the story's name is Tasha. Tasha is a black college student who's a journalist major, and she, like a lot of journalist majors, don't get mad at me, kind of nosy. They look for a big story. So she knows that something happened in this sorority with a girl dying, and she doesn't really believe that it was an incident. So she pretty much thinks, well, let me just join and figure out. But she doesn't understand all of the layers and dynamics that the sorority holds. Again, a lot of people in the sorority especially are keeping it low key about what happened, and they're really strict on how they let people get in. Tasha also wants to join the school newspaper, and she approaches the head of the newspaper and tells them like how she has this idea to join a sorority and get the story. The girl at the time, she's against it. She tells her it's dangerous and how she dropped out of the sorority. And again, she's just pretty much against it. She's like, you don't have to do all of that to get into our newspaper. I see you have a following on social media, etc. But again, Tasha, she wants to do what she wants to do. So she's like, I hear you, but this is gonna be juicy and I'm doing it. So Tasha has no idea about what's all set up in joining this sorority and what's against her as a black woman. And one thing I really liked about this movie, that it did kind of show the dynamics of being a woman in a predominant area or a predominantly white institution, and how some people have to do a lot to get into those positions of power, especially if you're black. And being in a sorority, you will see in the movie and sometimes in life how it protects you. So she pretty much approaches the sorority girls, and they're like, well, why should I trust you to join, especially this one girl, I can't remember her name. So her joining a sorority is a big deal in that sense. And let's move along. The girl decides to join the Russian sorority, and they all have this app, this social media app, where basically they give the pledges challenges. And the app is pretty much like, basically someone just has a standard username. No one knows. It's like you can post anonymously, kind of like Reddit in a sense, or like just those chat sites where you just see like a weird name like Baloney Balada 23, and you can say all types of stuff. And so they have like actually no real moderators except the girls who are over the sorority, but they don't really be on it like that. So basically, the girls who are pledging, they're supposed to wait for a message on challenges on what to do to get into the sorority. And so there's usually like an option A and an option B. And to me, the option A was always usually the safer option. And as it starts, it's like that's what Tasha chooses. But eventually, it comes to a point where it's like, damn if you do and damned if you don't. Option A and option B is full of shit. So while all of these pledging is happening, there are people watching the live. As it's going on, the people are hyping the girl up, and she kind of loses herself in a way. Like, she likes the attention. She likes people saying she's brave and crazy, and she has like this competitive nature. But there's also another girl in the sorority who's supposed to be black, but to me she looks biracial, but whatever. And I believe her name was Jasmine. What's her name? Jasmine? I can't remember the girl name. But basically, the girl and her, they try to be close. And I thought it was interesting how, like, the head of the house was just like, no, she's your competition. Don't get close to her. It's only once. To me, that also happens in a lot of predominantly white places. They discourage black people from unifying or joining each other. So I thought that was interesting how she automatically was trying to split them against each other. So this whole like scenario is giving me spook who sat by the door. While all this stuff is going on and the girls entering like the white frat houses and sorority houses, she's taking pictures and recording it. And they kind of have an idea that maybe she might be spying on them, but they're just like, well, we're just gonna put her through torture to just see, if she's just gonna deal with us, basically. So at one point in the movie, the head girl takes her phone and says she will fine her because like they're not supposed to record, and she tells her to delete it. So she kind of gets a warning, and she kind of sees like it's a big deal on them being secretive, but she kind of does it anyway. And while all of this is going on, she happens to find a love interest who is another black guy, which to me is really rare, especially in those spaces. But anyway, they kind of like have some type of camaraderie and like friendship. He's already in his white fraternity, and she's like, "Well, you seem to be different, but like, why are you in that fraternity?" But at the same time, and he's kind of like, "Well, you pledging, so you ain't not much bigger, or you ain't much better than me." And so that's kind of like a backup storyline. As the movie turns, it kind of gets darker and darker. So, like for instance, in one of the challenges, there was a scene where they went to this convenience store, and they were told that they had to steal liquor. And I think it was like either steal liquor. Yeah, they had to steal liquor. And at the time, it's interesting because like the black guy from the fraternity house, he's telling her like, do they not understand how dangerous this is for black people? Like we can't just go in there stealing; we can end up dead. But the girl, she's like so dedicated to the story or like proving herself that she tells him to pretty much talk to the store owner while she takes the alcohol and runs. And ironically, the guy does have like a shotgun and he shoots at them. And out of some type of miracle, they don't get shot because the car is like still running. They just hop in. But I think that was stupid. And I mean, I don't know. It kind of just shows you like how ridiculous some sororities can be. But anyway, the girl does is she kind of realizes that there are people against her and that they're willing to endanger her life. But as the movie evolves, this is kind of what happens. So again, the biracial girl and her, they have this like kind of like sisterhood already, even though they're not in a sorority. And the biracial girl is like number two in the running. She admits that the girl who passed away in the sorority was her roommate, and she never disclosed it with the journalist major. She tells her how she jumped out of the sorority once it happened, but again, a lot of the people aren't like telling what happened because, of course, who's going to tell you about a body charge or we committed the crime? They're not. And so the black girl kind of puts two and two together, especially as the challenges increase. Unfortunately, the biracial girl ends up dying, which was so crazy. So the challenge was they told her to give her boyfriend top on camera or snort a line of cocaine. I ain't gonna I ain't gonna lie. When they said that, I was like, "That's crazy." And I knew for some reason she was gonna snort the cocaine. It happened to be like actually a bag, and they told her to snort a line, which I heard they have in sororities. Like they play mind games. I'm not saying doing drugs is good because it's not. It's bad. But I was just like, why she's gonna snort all of it instead of like making a small line? And of course she did that, and she overdosed. And so this is like when the black girl has a wake up call, that they're actually trying to kill us, which was crazy because they made her go into like an abandoned school building. But when the mixed girl passed away, is when she kind of got this vengeance. And ironically, the sorority tries to pin the murder on the black girl. They take her to the police station and they question her, and she immediately is like, "No, this sorority did that to her." And the cop happens to be a former sorority member, and she's like pretty much a crooked cop, and she's like trying to hide what happened, and she's like, "Well, we can't listen to our sorority because you a snitch," basically. It turns out that the journalist major who was the roommate of the girl who actually passed away in the sorority, she actually still wanted to be in a sorority, and so she covered it up. That's when you realize that, like, again, this girl is like a big part of this bigger like space of like evilness and this predominantly white area, and she realized like how connected these people are and their white privilege. And so I feel like the title "Rush for Your Life" kept playing into the movie because, in a sense, when you were in it, it's kind of like you're in it. Like there's nothing that you can do. Like it was kind of to me gang affiliated, to be honest. But anyway, um, the girls do get caught up because there is like a sorority member there with a conscience, and she hates that the girl dies. So she kind of works with the black girl. She works with Tasha and her friend to get evidence against them, and since they have the evidence, that crooked cop, she kind of can't do anything. She really didn't know that they deliberately killed someone. She kind of like, girl, I can't help you with this one. So I think it was a good movie. It's kind of like it gave me a Disney vibe, like a dark Disney vibe, but the acting wasn't great. It was kind of like typical college stuff what a lot of people were doing. Minus the murder and stuff, inappropriate, but in general, I think it was a good movie. I would give it like a 4 out of 5. So let me know if you've seen this movie, and thank you for watching Books and Looks.